It was about a year ago that I had Arif Maherali, Shane Wenzel here joining me. We had a good session online last year, gentlemen, and now it's time to kind of look back over the last 12 months. What have we learned? What's been a different viewpoint of our experience over the last 12 months? 3 different industries, 3 different types of businesses that we run here, so it's going to be an interesting conversation. And then I want to talk about how we're moving forward. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for coming, Shane.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
We thought we had it figured out a year ago.
Wow. Did we ever? And let's start with you, Arif. Let's start with when I look over the last 12 months and everything that's happened in the pandemic, from a personal perspective first, and then from a business perspective, what's been the big learning outcomes for you? Let's go 12 months forward now. Looking back at the last 12 months, what did you learn from it in personal and then business?
Yeah, I remember 12 months ago when it was March 18th or something, they said we're going into full lockdown. Didn't know what that meant. Just kind of sat around, and then the phone started to ring, my clients. And I'm like, oh, this is getting real, right? Pick up the phone. Luckily, Arif, things are fine on our end. We're staying the course. Keep doing what you're doing, right? So initially it was, a shock, and it was like, okay, I feel a little bit better about the situation because I'm getting these calls and everyone's confident. But then as time went on, the confidence started to go down. And what I found was the first month or 2 was about being exposed as a business. My business, the airline business, the build business. I started to see things unravel, some of the things that, companies were doing that were kind of hidden or weren't looked at. They were starting to come to the surface. So that's your employees, that's your partnerships, that's all these things that are in a business that started to become more relevant and present. And what do you do, right? And in my case, we had great partnerships and things started to fall apart. Not for bad reasons, but at the time it was like, holy crap, what am I gonna do with my business, right? And looking back now, I'm thinking those were all blessings. And I think with any business right now, if you look back, there's blessings along the way. But originally it's like, okay, how do we pivot? What do we do? What about our clients? Who comes first? What should we think about? And so that's the kind of the first 6 months that I went through. Personally, as an entrepreneur, and I think we'll talk about this, you stay strong, you stay focused, but have the ability to pivot, right? And that's what I did. I said, okay, what problem do we need to solve today for our clients and add value, like more value than we ever had? And so that's kind of how we navigated that.
What about you, Shane? Let's talk last 12 months, personal perspective, business perspective. What was your learning outcomes?
Personally, I'm closing the door so the damn dog and cat don't come in all the time and bite me.
There's that too, yeah.
How did that happen? No.
You have both a dog and a cat?
Both the dog and a cat, they love each other and they hate human beings. But hey, that's okay. No, personally, that was tough to make that quick adjustment to, working out of home. I always had a home office, but not something I was sitting in full time.
Yeah.
Now, we were an essential service, so that made things easier. I could go to the office, but I don't think I've had so many meetings with our executive team in that first month or 2 than we've had all year.
Yeah.
As we're talking about different protocols and how to manage people and a process that is 50% paper, 50% digital.
Mm-hmm.
That was a challenge. And then of course you're not ready to make this transition. We had people who work remotely the odd time, out of necessity, and now all of a sudden we're talking about sending half our team home, and we're going to alternate, so we're going to do shift work as well, and we're trying to move a paper file in one respect, and we're trying to move an electronic file in another one. You talk about a logistical nightmare, and it's not that we weren't moving in that direction, but we were moving in that direction over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Not the next 2 months.
Right away. Yeah.
So that was a challenge, but we managed to come through it. We were pretty resilient that way, but then I think the biggest fear was, what's going to happen to business? Everybody in this country, in this city, in the world, are now in a space they don't know how to navigate. Your social life's been taken away. You're told to go home and isolate.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
We have people that are buying houses, but we have people sitting back saying, I'll wait until this ends. Well, did we know it was going to end 2 or 3 weeks later? Apparently not,
Yeah.
because it didn't. It's still going on. So that was a bit of a, that's what kept me up at night. That's what kept me up at night, is how do we keep things rolling? So you've got staff that are scared and concerned. You've got customers that are scared. So you start with the staff and you try and reassure them that things are going to be okay. I even made the statement to them. I said, even if we don't make $1 this year, I'll still keep everybody employed, because I'm not going to add to the problem. And then to the customers, you had to communicate with them constantly and just see, where are they at?
Yeah.
Are they comfortable? Do they believe, there were some concerns. Some of them said, are you guys going to go broke? It's like, no, we're not going to go broke. But they needed to hear that. But they weren't sure, can we go into the show home? Can we come into the office? Can we do this? They didn't know. So we had to kind of lay out the protocols even for them as well. So that posed a lot of different challenges, but you look for the knowledge on how to proceed, and thankfully I have some older parents, and they were through the 80s and they've been through some tough times in their lives. So I mean, they got some reassurance there, but they didn't know everything.
Yeah.
They've never been through a lockdown or pandemic. So we did manage, but you had to seek out that knowledge just to figure out, how do you manage it?
Yeah. When I look at my industry and what our business went through, my industry is very paper oriented and in-person client signature basis. During this pandemic, there was a big technological force.
Mhm.
It wasn't by choice. And so learning about that and getting everybody on board and getting, especially your clients or customers, to be comfortable using technology when there's a pandemic and people are scared about other things, was a challenge on its own. What I've been doing for my entire life is trying to forecast what could happen. And I could tell you from an economic perspective, I can tell you prior to the pandemic, pockets around this country, there were a lot of companies that didn't deserve or have the right to exist on its own at that point in time. The pandemic, in some cases, shut them down. Some cases, it was, now they're zombies. And I'm using that terminology a lot right now because there's a lot of companies who shouldn't be open, who should have been shut down a long time ago. But because this is the first economic recession we've had in history, where the average income of the average individual has not gone down. And so now we've got a different problem. So I could forecast to some degree with relatively high accuracy of what I see happen to probably pan out. What I wasn't prepared for was the mental and psychological impacts that have on individuals and how it will impact them individually, not their business, not the psyche of how people spend money. And that's been the biggest challenge when it comes to understanding your customer, understanding what's going to happen out there, your competition. Are they able to read what you read and so forth? So the psyche and the mindset of the customer has been the biggest challenge. And we were talking about this before we started. Who would have thought that we're nowhere near the end of this pandemic and people are buying houses left, right, and center?
Yeah, consumer behavior, I think, is completely kind of threw us for a loop, right? We could predict with data, if you're doing, digital marketing and stuff, there's ways to predict, what consumers are doing. But the real estate market, I don't know what's going on.
Even the consumer product market. Who thought we would have been in a pandemic and toilet paper being the most expensive thing in the world?
And this is interesting. So that was initially, right? Big panic. Everyone's going to Costco, lineups, all this stuff. Again, no one knows what to do at these times. We're all learning. That kind of went away. It's really interesting what kind of products, again, exposure. We all got exposed. All of a sudden, toilet paper gets the light in the news. Who would have ever thought that, right? And then it just shifts from hand sanitizer, and then it shifts to masks, and
Baking goods.
baking
Still a
goods.
high demand till today.
Yeah.
Gardening,
Yeah.
huge. Like that type of understanding of the psyche of the individual, and in your guys' businesses, when you look at the marketing side or when you're building homes, green spaces look different.
Sure they do.
Right? What's inside the home and what your customer is asking for now is different. So let's talk about that. I'll start with you, Shane, on this one.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, we were talking about this earlier. We're going to make assumptions because I can't say there's enough hard data to say this is exactly what people are doing. People are moving to the suburbs because they want more space. In some cases, yeah, I can say that that's an assumption. Is it a trend? I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
Are they moving their offices out of a building into their home office? Again, in some cases, yes, that's an assumption, but that's it. And until we can actually sit down in front of them and try and determine what is that new customer psyche, what is it actually saying, what does it mean, what is important to them, we can't say for certain. But there have been cases where people are making the move for more space, more green space behind their home because they wanted a yard and they want to work out of their house. Some people, there's been a few of them, they buy corner lots so they can develop the whole basement and run their whole company out of there with 6 people downstairs.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool, but I can't say it's a trend. And I'm a research nerd, so I need focus groups and I need phone surveys and I need data in order to formulate an opinion, because this is like starting from the beginning of a business.
Yeah.
Who is your customer? First most important question.
So, not knowing your business intrinsically, but I would have a challenging time to understand, when does data become a trend and when does trend become the norm? And what I mean by that is, right now you're probably getting customer by customer requests that are maybe unique, different, not the norm that we had pre-pandemic. At some point that continues on and it becomes a trend, and then that continues on and becomes the norm. And so when I interviewed you on the exchange, you were telling me about how people are building podcast rooms in their house.
Yes.
Or studios, we'll call them.
Which 10 years ago was not even a thought process for many. And so when in your business do you start to, I'll use the word pivot, Arif, because you said that, but you start thinking about, okay, I'm getting this request, now I'm getting this request, and I'm getting another request, and they're all like bespoke almost, and then it becomes trendy, and then it becomes the norm. How do you adjust in your business? Because that would be very challenging when I look at it.
Well, it is, especially when it's like this right now.
Yeah, up and down, up and down.
Are people doing this simply out of fear? Are they doing it for a lot of other reasons? But, you can recognize it if it happens more times than not. And right now, it's happening sporadically. So I can't say it's a trend.
Is that fear-based?
Is it fear-based? Yes. Is the podcast room like the gamer room, the video game room?
Yeah.
Is that going to become kind of a staple in the home? I'm not sure yet. Ask me in another year, and then maybe we'll have some solid ideas to, is this what people really want? Because it has been interesting, because you've eliminated, you don't have a living room, family room combination anymore. You don't have a dining room, kitchen nook combination anymore. One of the rooms got eliminated. But one thing I can say for certain is it got eliminated because people are living in their homes now. They're not buying them simply for investment. They're living there.
That's a good point.
And they've had a year to really live in their current home and determine what meets our needs or our wants and our lifestyle. And that's been, I guess, the most fun thing about this part of it, is seeing people actually do this more than ever.
Arif, when it comes to your business, how have business owners who come to you, because you're in a B2B business, you help business owners with their marketing, media, and getting their presence out there.
Yeah.
This pandemic forced many businesses to wake the fuck up and get online.
Yeah.
Okay. It also, we've been saying this for years, Arif. Hey, guys, online, hello, this small fad called the internet, you might want to use it, right? We've been saying this.
Yeah.
So now comes many companies who didn't have their presence. Now they're coming to you And was it out of fear, out of necessity, or out of fad? What did you find with business owners when they came to you?
First week, March 18th, or whatever it was, when this got announced, my phone also rang off the hook about video. We need to do video.
Mhm.
I turned down some big projects because they were wanting to rush the process.
Mm-hmm.
And with marketing, more and more, we talk about this all the time, it's about building a roadmap or a strategy, even something, some plan before you send out crews to rip through. At that time, it was home builders.
Yeah.
To rip through a home and do a virtual walkthrough, call it a day, put it on, Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And think it's okay that people are going to consume it and say, "Oh yeah, I totally get it." My conversations were like, well, let's think about the experience of the person on the other end. You're now forcing them. They've never really seen these virtual walkthroughs, and all of a sudden,
Except for Shane Holmes, because they were ahead of the curve.
always ahead. Always ahead. He teaches me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you realize you're not the only builder or developer that's going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to do this, and then you're going to create this numb effect on digitally, where people are seeing home tour after home tour after home tour. Do you guys have salespeople? Yes, we do. Great. Can they walk to their home and talk about the highlights? What is the value prop, or what makes you different from one builder to the next?
Yep.
We don't have time for that. I'm sorry, it's something we have to fix.
And that wasn't only the builder industry,
No.
because when we started this journey with the exchange and all the other different pieces that we put together, many business owners reached out to me. And it was literally this mathematical formula. If I put my stuff on the internet or social media, business will
They
just
will
come
come.
flowing in.
They will come.
It's like a hockey rink. If
It's
I
like
build
that
it, they'll
today.
play. That's not going to happen that way.
No, doesn't
It's
happen
like
that way.
that today, and I mean, gee, we could probably sit here for hours, because I know Shane and I have talked about this, but yes, things are going digital. Roughly from conventional to digital, depending on the industry, it's starting to shift, right? 60-40, right? 60
Yes.
digital, 40 into other means, right? But you have to have a strategy and a plan behind that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is, if you throw shit at the wall,
Mhm.
nothing's gonna stick, and you really don't even know who you're throwing this to.
Yeah.
Spray
and pray.
and pray. What problem are you trying to solve?
Number one.
Period.
Yeah.
And so marketing at one time, if you think about 10 years ago, maybe longer, right? What kind of websites? I think they were, what were they called? Splash, or I forget what they
Flash.
Flash. Thank you. Flash.
I'm a nerd, remember that.
So
So
Flash websites were the cool thing, right? So it was all dynamic and all this kind of stuff, right? Then the internet and social media started, Instagram and all that, Facebook started people started to forget about the website.
Yeah.
Now, the website is more important. It's the hub of everything else.
Mhm.
For everything else.
Mhm.
And everything else should feed into it. So now websites are becoming more clear, more simple,
Mhm.
and right at the front page, right at that header, what problem are you going to solve for me, and why should I continue to stay on your website or press that button and navigate? So marketing has almost taken a step back, right? Go slow to go fast. And so I'll get calls and they'll dictate what we need to do. And I will push back and say, you are wasting your money. They will not come. And you're literally, without a plan, just throwing this stuff out here, and you don't even know who your target is right now,
Mhm.
right? Because this is new for everyone.
Well, you're on that point, though, Arv. I think that's the question I also wanted to ask both of you on this. And Shane, when you look at your competitors, we'll start there, and then you look at business owners in general. I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing through the pandemic with business owners were there before the pandemic, just been highlighted, emphasized, or put on Red Bull. Like they've been just escalated. Because of the pandemic. When you look at your we don't have to name names, but your competition, There's a lot of builders out there that just thought if I build a home, people will just buy it because I have a right to your money.
Yes.
How has that changed? Like, they should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great example because I've been around for 31 years. And
No,
I've
shut
seen,
up. 31 years?
Yeah, don't remind me. I feel old.
You said it. I'm just repeating it.
But over that time, I have seen builders come and go. And it's largely because they won't change. They won't adapt to the times and how they're that they evolve. I've seen it happen because of specs. I've seen it happen because of product. I've seen it happen because of marketing. And now you're going to see it happen because of a lack of focus on customer experience. That is so important. And it all ties in to Arif's point about how important that website is. What problem are you going to solve? How simple and easy are you going to make this for me? Because we're in this world where we all have these smartphones,
Mhm.
and the website has to load up so quick. They have to see us. They have to see the details of what they're purchasing. You can't hide anything anymore. You can't keep anything hidden behind a wall.
Yeah.
You have to give them all the information they need to make an informed decision. And I think that's where a lot of the businesses nowadays are missing it. Is that, we got you've got the old website, we've got the social media presence, because we throw up some pictures, and don't worry, guerrilla marketing, digital, people will come. Bullshit. You have to give them an experience. You have to give them a reason. You have to show them who's behind all of this. They're real people.
But even before that,
Yeah.
if I was to take 10 calls,
Yes.
I would say, and this could be a little bit of jostling back and forth because I always like to talk about budget up front
Mhm.
for marketing. People get stunned when you tell them what it costs to do a proper branding video
Yes.
or whatever, right? To manage your social, the copy, the captions, all of that stuff. Because no one's educated in that, right?
Yes.
So
That I would agree.
But you would be shocked, Faisal. This is a big problem, and I want both of you guys to talk about this. How many companies, you talk about business plans, the marketing component, how does that get completely thrown to the side and not even addressed? No budget, no nothing. We've been fine for years, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hits, and then they're not coming anymore because the referrals go down or whatever the case may be. Now, it could be a storefront, it could be our industry, your industry. Why are companies still not putting money towards a marketing plan? I really don't understand why people think that's the last thing they want to do. It makes no sense to me.
In my experience, talking to business owners and my competition in my industry, marketing is considered an expense on your income statement. It's not considered an asset or an investment on your balance sheet.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is a fundamental mental shift that you have to go through.
Yes.
That says, I am investing in my company. We have no problem buying machinery, technology, if it's going to give us higher productivity. For some reason, business owners feel that if I start to have a proper marketing strategy, it's a cost to do business. It's not a cost. It's existence. It's the life jacket that will take you through this very volatile time and every time in the future. And I like these times of from an economic perspective because there's going to be a bunch of businesses that just don't get it and they're going to get wiped out.
Yep.
Which means I can take on market share.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You guys screw up, I'll take it on. Right? On the other side, there's still impact to the customer.
Sure there is. Yes.
Right? So someone builds a home with a competitor, it's shit.
Yeah.
You can't just say, mulligan. You can't do that. You bought a $1 million home through a competitor of yours and it's shit. And I've seen the people go buyer's remorse on $1 million investment. They'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a marketing strategy, so they call it a strategy, and it's shit, which they could have done way better by using just their phone.
Right.
And this is the impact is to the customer. And that person will have that negative experience for a while. And then it's our job to clean up somebody else's mess and reassure that everything's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Watch how many houses get flipped in your industry because it's like, I don't like this. Or I thought I needed this. The salesperson or the builder said I should have had that. And they go, oh, I don't need it. And then they're going to come to you and they're going to say, okay, can you really build me a real home, please? Right? Business is going to do the same thing. This guy, and you get this right now, I'm sure. I've spent X hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever amount of money on some marketing strategy. Nothing's working.
Nothing's working. Correct.
He told me or she told me if I just do Google ads or YouTube, or I'll be fine. Right? Just throw. That's like saying, in the old days, if you just put an ad in the newspaper, you'll get a whole bunch of business. Shane, we know that doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
Never did. It never did.
You throw an ad out and hope for the best? Come on.
Spray and pray.
Spray and pray.
Right? So I think this is a good opportunity for businesses like ours, our individual businesses, because we can take on market share. But I feel bad for that customer who went through that experience.
Yes.
You posted a couple weeks ago, and I actually challenged you on this. Something something around, do you need money to start a business or whatever? And I went back at you a bit there because I love that. Okay, tell me how a company that's just starting out, right? There's maybe no revenue or very low, revenue. How do they market, right? How do they put money aside for marketing?
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's a point where they, maybe it's not initially and it's sweat equity and they're the ones grabbing their phones and they're doing that, which is what
Correct.
Yeah. But at what point when you're making a certain amount of revenue, and I think people are going to really appreciate this, you may not have the answer, but at what point in your business life cycle where there's a certain amount of revenue should you start putting that, we've heard all sorts of percentages, right?
Yeah.
3 to 10%, whatever it is, 8 to 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When is it time to do that?
That's a good question.
So I'll look at how I evaluate a business. Because part of my job is to see what's the true intrinsic value of this company. Return on equity.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever money you make, what are you reinvesting in your company to make it grow even faster? Because a company or business has two different options. Pay it out to the owners or the shareholders of the business, or keep the money, what's called retained earnings, and reinvest it in the corporation. When you're a startup with zero capital, you have to use sweat equity to get your ground. As soon as you make revenue number $1, there has to be a percentage of that automatically reinvested in the company. And what I find with a lot of business owners is they've chosen to own a business because of lifestyle. They think that they can have the lifestyle, so they're going to have the big house. They're going to go to Shane, build me this big house because I'm owning my own business. They're going to come to you and say, let's start talking about some big media plans and marketing plans because I'm going to own my own business. They're going to talk to me about their retirement plans because I'm going to own my own business. They have these big dreams, views, and they fake it till they make it.
Yes.
They live high above their own means. They're not willing to struggle personally so that their business can be invested for the future. They squeeze every dollar out of that company, out of that business opportunity for themselves, and they don't invest in their own business. And that's a problem. So I believe that everybody from $1 on needs to take a percentage of their money, that revenue, that gross revenue, and invest it in marketing, in growth of the business itself, into exploration of employees in the future, because you'll need that. You need to invest that money. What dollar amounts depends on your strategy and your business and your industry. But it needs to be invested from day one. And I'll give you my view, what I did when I started in my industry 24 years ago. I literally took a line of credit out just for marketing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't always recommend that.
No.
Because there's risk. You're taking on debt
Sure.
But every business has taken on debt every major public corporation, let's go there, takes on debt or pays out equity to grow their business. So what's the difference? So do you need capital? No. Do you need to reinvest your earnings? Yes. And I think that's where the biggest problem, especially in businesses that have less than 100 employees. They end up squeezing so much money out because that's their lifestyle. Live low. Live humble. You don't have to show anything off until you can show something off.
I agree.
How do you get there? Marketing.
Yeah.
It's one way.
So yeah, Shane, what I really think, how I think Shane is really separated, or the Shane group of companies is, you've always, in your business, marketing has always been one of the, at the forefront, or, one of the pieces that, all going way back.
Definitely.
Just even with how you grew through the company and everything. So I love your story, like what you guys have done as a case study, because you're talking 30 years or whatever the case may be. Your dad started the company. I'm sure there was a little bit of shifting your dad's, the way he saw marketing as how you saw marketing.
Oh, certainly there was.
Today, how you see marketing. I talk to a lot of builders, a lot. They are not thinking like you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right? You've picked up as a president of a company, you pick up your phone and you encourage your employees to do, grab their phones at the sales center and continue to inform. It has to be part of the pedigree. It has to be part of your company's, makeup, right? And if it is not, I personally think, what are you doing? Like, don't run a company then. If marketing is going to be up to sight because you're getting a bunch of people flow through, when the lights get turned out like the pandemic, then what do you do?
Well, and that was the thing.
That was the thing.
We're locked down, we're coming up with protocols for customers. We're used to running through 8,000 couples a year in our show home locations. Well, with the numbers that were happening during the lockdown, that would have been 1,000. How are you going to convert sales then? That's why you had to have that presence there. And that's, obviously I'm a big believer in sales and marketing. We were one of the first builders out there to ever have a website in 1996. And for 8 years afterwards, my father harassed me as to, why do we have this stupid thing? What is this website here for? He did the same thing to me on social media as well. Why are we doing this? Well, we have one person dedicated to doing it now because it's that important. They're the people behind the business. And you have to stay out in front of your customers. They have to know who you are. What's the story? So I'm always shocked, but you're right. I mean, there are businesses out there who, they might do $1 million in sales a year and stick $10,000 into marketing. They're gone. They're dead. If not, they will be shortly.
Yeah, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's no such thing as stagnant in business. And when I hear business owners say, well, this is not how I've done it before, I've built it to this point at this methodology without all that marketing, without all that interweb stuff. I get told that interweb stuff. That spider thing, that WW thing. We don't need that, right? And then it became, I don't need to be on social media, or I'm not comfortable being on social media, which I get.
Yeah, totally.
Which I get. You don't have to be the face. You're the face of your business. You're the face of your business.
Yes.
I'm the face of mine. But we're comfortable in front of the camera. Not everybody's
not everybody is.
It doesn't mean you have to do it that way. What I find interesting, especially now, 1 year into the pandemic, with still a long ways to go. Not saying that we're going to be in a pandemic for many years, but the aftermath of this pandemic is going to last a while. It is the aftershock of the earthquake. And sometimes the aftershock of the earthquake turns into a tsunami. And for those companies who haven't realized that what was working before is not always going to work in the future and don't change, they're done. Just a matter of time.
I agree.
Just a matter of time. And I'm interested to see what industries, what type of businesses, how many employees, what kind of revenue, how long they've been around. Like, what is that makeup of that individual or that company that we can start to say, they're going to go, they're going to go, they're going to go. And that just clears up a lot of space. I know I sound like I want this to happen.
Yeah.
No, but in some cases, to be honest, you're going to get some people right now who are saying, we've had a good run. That's enough.
Yeah.
It's time to retire.
Oh my God, does that ever happen?
So how does that transition even look throughout all of this?
Yeah.
What new business business people are going to come? What entrepreneurs rather will come out of this?
Yeah.
So on one side, I'm concerned but I'm kind of excited too.
Oh, yeah.
What will it look like?
You know, I look at what the opportunities lie right now with that generation that's ready to pack it in. They're going to be passing on either the businesses to their family members, or they're going to put it up for sale. Now I think there's two different groups of that. One group will say, I'm tired, I can't do this anymore. And so
Yeah.
you'll see their revenue decline, right? So once their revenue starts to decline, they start to sell, the valuation of their business just went down.
Yes.
So now they thought that this business was their retirement, not so much. There's another group who's saying, I better boost up my sales and then sell because I get a higher valuation, and that will be my retirement. The ones who are dropping are going to sell out of desperation because they're done. The ones who are boosting it up may even stay longer because it's now fun.
Yes.
So it's done or fun, right? Those are the two.
Done or fun. I
Right?
like that one.
And so if it becomes fun, again, if they build up that juice of what brought them to business to begin with, you're going to see a big resurgence of the wise, wealthy entrepreneur who's going to take it with digital 2.0.
100%. And here's another value add, I think a problem that needs to be solved, and we talk about this often. And my company is going to start working through this, probably with some other consultants as well, but is, okay, maybe you don't know where to start. Let's analyze your business with experts, right? Such as yourself. All the top, the finance, the marketing, all the, this, and the product, and, the 5 Ps.
Yep.
And
Yes.
guys, if you haven't consumed Faisal's content, you need to start, because he's putting voluntarily putting out tons of content to help us, right? To kind of see, pivot, navigate. So start consuming it, but start with the plan first and have some people behind you to kind of shape it, right? So you have a roadmap to then take away and execute, right? So yes, there's coaches out there, and yes, there's all these little pieces, but they're all pieces. Bring it all into one,
Regardless of size.
regardless of size.
Like there are small businesses making less than whatever, let's pick up a number and say less than $1 million in sales, and they think that they're too small to have a team working with them. Not true.
Not true.
I would
Not
agree.
true.
It isn't true.
And of those, and in your business, Shane, I think there's an opportunity, and this is not a recommendation or anything, but there's opportunity to gobble up your competition. Either acquire their clients, their future customers, or literally buy that business. And then you've got growth. When you've been around for as long as you have a lot of choice.
Well, we've done it 3 times in the past.
Yeah.
So yes, there is opportunity, and yes, there are some aging owners out there who this is maybe their exit strategy.
Yeah.
So they want to get out of the business, so we can absorb it if we have to. You hate to see it in certain cases, but I mean, it is also a business. It's a sign of the times.
Over the next 12 months, Shane, what do you think are the challenges that you and your business will have, or your industry will have? And then let's broaden it out to business owners in general.
I think it's still trying to figure out what the consumer wants, and making your business more centric around that customer experience. But then making that full transition to digital, which is in the process, but it takes time to do it properly, because you can't drop the ball along the way.
That's right.
That'll be the biggest challenge over the next year. And I still want to know, in my mind, what is the trend? Where have people's attitudes now changed so that we can be prepared for it?
Yeah.
We have to, we can always give them something, but we want to give them something that they want, as opposed to something they don't. And I don't like guessing.
That's so hard to determine. What do they want before they tell you they want it?
Yes. Well, Steve
Right.
Jobs figured it out.
And testing,
Fair.
and
Testing.
iterating is part of that process, and that costs money, but it gets you further along the line.
Sure.
So that's a big one that this year too has brought is I'm seeing more clients open to testing, and they're willing to spend, right? And I'll tell you, they'll get the data back, and it's pretty accurate, right? Because you kind of see the lead flow to that sale, right? So if this content's not working, let's turn it off, or we A/B test or whatever, and we kind of monitor it the best we can to get a little bit more intelligence around consumer behavior today.
Just for some of our viewers and listeners who don't know what A/B testing is, really quickly kind of touch on.
Yeah,
what that
it's essentially just taking, well, I'll just talk about, 2 images, I guess, right? 2 images.
So 2 posts you're going to do on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah, and
Okay.
say you're doing digital ads, and
Okay.
you've got a target market, and you go in the back end, and you can nerd out in the back end of Facebook. So those that are trying to do it on your own or pressing that promote button, please stop. You're wasting your mind, because there's actually a science behind this. And it's essentially, kind of putting 2 pieces together with the same kind of criteria and seeing what the market is liking, right? And that's right down even to the description and the content that you put around that, right? And then, so if something is not tracking well, you turn it off and you do a little bit more of this, right? So, and it's black and white, you're getting real data. The problem with social media, organic, is it's a little bit more broad, right? You're not going to get that black and white data. You're going to get some data. And that, I use that as just, again, kind of a testing ground to see, right? You let it ride for 3 to 6 months, right? So if you're going to be on the camera and you have a series, do the series for a while. I'm a hypocrite right now because I get busy with my business and I start a series and then I just stop doing it. But, right? And see what kind of comments you get, right? What kind of shares are you getting? What kind of saves are you getting?
Yes.
And if people aren't resonating, you can stop it.
Yeah.
And start something else.
Yep.
Right? So that's another way of testing. But it takes time, and people don't have time, and that's going to be a challenge going forward. Which business owners out there are going to be patient, because going digital takes time.
Yes, it
But
does.
in the long run, you're that much more ahead, and it will pay back.
You mentioned about patience, and so Shane, you and I both advertise beyond the digital scene. So let's go conventional media, print, radio, TV. Was it ever instantaneous business?
No.
No.
No,
So-
and it didn't come with the analytics that you can get from this now.
You put a TV ad out there, you cross your fingers and hope someone calls you.
Yes. And hopefully they tell you, I saw your ad on TV.
Correct. So that's your analytics.
Well, in the
I've seen
newspaper,
you on TV. That's your analytics.
you
right
put
there.
an ad in the newspaper and you sit there and say, I got 4 to 6 weeks to see if this gains traction.
Correct.
You do direct mail and you hope like hell it's like they told you, 2%, we'll react to this. Well, how do I know?
Yeah.
Now you know. But yeah.
And so when you use the word patience, when did we lose patience? Because when we were in conventional media, we knew, and we still know today, you put it on there, it takes time, it takes money, you don't get multiple cracks. You can't A/B test a commercial, right? But we had to be patient. When did we lose the patience?
I think, like I said, I think things started to come to the surface, and now I'm on these calls, etc. And I think people. I'm just going to talk about Calgary in general, maybe Alberta. I'm not sure, but it's a quick fix mentality. Or I used to work in oil and gas. Things are good. Don't need to even think. It just comes in, right? So now, it's like anything. When shit hits the fan, the true you comes out. And as a business owner, of course it's been stressful the last year, right? So, and desperate. Pick up the phone, we got to market.
That's what I think it is.
You should never pick up the phone in bad times and say we got to market. Because it takes a runway to get traction.
Yes.
That's why it has to be part of the DNA of your company. You should always be marketing.
Yep.
So that's what happens. They don't like it and I'm going to call myself an honest marketer, because I think there's some companies, there's no regulation in our industry. We can charge you whatever we want, and you have no clue. I can tell you a video is $15,000 for 60 seconds, and you're going to say, okay, I guess no one really knows how to qualify a marketing company.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a desperation. They pick up the phone, they don't even understand what marketing is or does for their company, and you tell them, this is what it's gonna cost, and this is how long it's gonna take.
Yeah.
That's too long, I don't have the money, hang up.
Shane, have you, in your years of doing this, have
Oh,
you
God.
or members on your executive team ever get impatient and say, okay, we need this now, when it comes to marketing or when it comes to getting business?
In certain cases, yes.
And
Yes, you
how
need
did
to be able to
overcome that?
react quickly.
Yeah.
In the case of marketing, no, I mean, that's a long-term build. I mean, you go into lockdown and I sit there and say, increase the budget by 10% at least,
Yeah,
because we're gonna need it.
yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
But there's not a lot of that.
There's not a
That's what
lot.
I wanted to know,
There's
right?
not a lot.
There's a handful.
Like you say, 15,000 on a video. I remember doing a 5-minute long corporate video for $35,000
Oh,
20 years
yeah.
ago.
Oh, yeah.
That's cheap.
And they,
I'd spend the money now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why I was
That's-
wondering, when did business owners go from patiently advertising to becoming impatient for instant gratification on digital?
Yes.
Like, when did that happen? Like, what was that turning point? Was it because you could see everything on your phone? Was it when the first person started buying stuff on the phone that they thought, oh yeah, it's instantaneous, you should just put shit on there and they'll buy it? Like, I don't know
if my industry could possibly, blow stuff people's asses and saying, yeah, oh yeah, returns, you're gonna get it.
Right there.
It's still SEO.
Yes.
This is a big word.
search engine optimization. Yep.
Thank you, yeah. I don't know how many emails, I'm sure Shane gets a ton about someone telling me that they can, I'll be ranked number 1 on
Yeah.
Google.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? And I get 10 of them a day? Is it that easy? Because wouldn't we all be then number 1?
It's like those phishing scams.
But because of the impatience, there are businesses out there that are at their last dollar,
Yeah.
and hoping that, and they will pay the money. So
Yes.
they'll take a line of credit. And 3 months later, disappointed, pissed off, I get the call. I don't believe in marketing. I don't
It
trust
doesn't work.
marketing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I walk into that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't trust what you guys are doing.
Yep.
And literally, it's not about the sale for me at that point. It's about education. I back up and I say, okay, let's walk through this. What questions did you ask them? How did you qualify them? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. Okay. I'm going to be here for you to ask any. We're not going to do business, number 1, right now, because we need to step back.
Yeah.
Because you have to shift and you have to look at your business and you have to shift how you look at marketing, or it's not going to work. You're going to hate me throughout, and you're going to wait to see if there's a hole, a dip, which happens all the time in analytics, right? Things will dip, but that's why you look at the data and you figure, okay, why is there a dip here? And how can we go back up?
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to be able to ride that with your partner, with your marketing company, with your marketing manager, whoever's on the team. You have to be able to ride it. What do you
Yeah. Now, the look that I have on my face is because I'm just thinking, because I'm going to break down to 2 different categories of business owners here, Shane.
Mm-hmm.
Business owner number 1 is fairly new, a rookie in the business, a rookie in that industry, and rookie, I mean less than 5 years.
Okay.
So they're coming potentially with the mindset that if I own a business, my life will be much better, but I just have to sell some shit and I'll make some money. And then comes the second group of people who've been around longer than 5 years, but didn't really have to bust their ass to get business.
Yes.
And even pre-pandemic or right now they have to do all this work, and it's just shock. Oh my God, I have to do all this? I have to do analytics? Like, I never had to analyze. I would just have to put an ad in the paper and people would call. Remember Yellow Pages? I had that for a whole year. Like, right? Like,
You gotta get that letter.
Right. Right. Better Business Bureau used to give me great ratings. So I got all these different things that were an opportunity. And when you ask them, how did you grow your business? Oh, I door knocked. I had friends and family referrals. Referrals have been the number 1 reason why I keep on getting business, which is true. It's the cheapest form.
Sure.
That's great.
Cheapest form.
Yeah.
But it's not the only form. I have yet to meet a business that says 90% of their growth rate and they're doing high double-digit growth rates are all from referrals. That's called brand awareness. Shit, that's better than Amazon. Right? So
It doesn't exist.
I'm trying to, yeah, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
So I'm trying to figure out is why are business owners want that instant gratification of results in this part where it never happens anywhere else in their world. They can't get instant gratification on anything.
No,
but they
but
want it in their business.
They can get their food delivered to their door. They can get instant gratification through a social media post. They can get people responding to them, and it's almost created this now world. Especially the younger generation. They are the now generation because they're used to it. They grew up with these things in their hands, and I think that's a tough expectation to set for people. Long term, ask them to wait a month or two for a response, or to really gain traction. They can't do it.
That's a lifetime, man.
Oh, sure. I've been doing that. Like I told you, I've been doing this a long time, and it's every day, and it never stops. And it's where do we go to next, and how do we have to get there, or how do we get there? What does it look like? I mean, I just spoke about strategic planning to a few people, and it shocked me. It shocked me. And this wasn't that long ago, where you find out that some of our competitors. Yeah, they did that strategic planning thing, every couple of years or every 3 years. You kind of sit there and say, how the hell do you plan? How do you know where you're going to? What are you doing?
It's probably folded up in the middle of their holy book, let's say the Bible. They're like, I put my plan inside God's hands and hopefully it works out.
But it's shocking because these are larger, older businesses who aren't consistently doing this.
Yeah. So let's touch on, we've got a few minutes left before we're ending the session, but you talked about strategic planning. From your perspective in what business owners in general, let's talk about your advice, tips that you would give business owners from a strategic planning. Then I'm going to go to you, Arif, next on the same question, and then I can handle that well. So from your perspective, 3 things that people should do from a strategic planning perspective. There's planning, then there's strategic planning.
Yes.
What's strategic planning in your definition, and what's your advice for them?
Look 5 to 10 years out as to where you want your business to be. Make sure that you follow through on that plan. Don't just write it down and leave it on the side and hope for the best because you wrote it down. Follow through with it. In our case, we do 2 sessions a year. One early on in the year, so we know where the market's going. One in the second half of the year. Just reconfirming: are we heading in the right direction? Do we have to make any adjustments? But follow. The people, the process. The place, everything. Cover that off in your strategic planning session, right down to operational efficiencies. That is so crucial. That's your opportunity to not throw a bunch or waste a bunch of money on your operation, but to maximize it.
Yeah.
Maybe they could save enough to put it back into marketing.
Hallelujah. Yeah. Arif, when you look at strategic planning from your perspective, for business owners, what's the strategic planning or advice you would give?
So I came up with this just a few months ago when I had a meeting with my team on the second wave where we got locked down in December. And it was around retain before you obtain. So look at your client base right now in front of you. What could you be doing? They've said to you, we're good. Be here for us, we'll be there for you. But what more can you do to retain those clients today? Look at the business you have today and make sure you are there as a partner to solve, to whatever capacity, any problems that they're having. Because they may have let people go, they may be really lean. So how is your team going to step up? So retain before you obtain. The other one is go slow to go fast. You're not going to like that. But step back and ask yourself, do we even have a strategic plan? And if we don't, ask for help.
Written down strategic plan, right?
Yes.
Not up in their brain.
Not up here.
Not in the brain, not with
Thank
one
you.
person.
Do you have a written down strategic plan?
Yeah.
And if you don't, ask for help. Look for resources like the exchange, like what we're doing here. The community's growing, like Facebook's growing quite a bit. There's a lot of business owners on there.
Huge.
So step back now, do it now, because things are going to start to get back to normal, and you cannot go back to the way you were thinking a year ago.
Yeah.
So step back, ask for help, retain before you obtain, before you go out.
Yeah.
But when you go out, it's as per the strategic plan.
Yes.
And pull those partners in to help you. You deal with your day-to-day. They'll see the big picture and steer you there.
Yeah.
Guide you.
I'm going to end off with what I always talk about on my posts and so forth, which are the 5 Ps. So there's the 5 Ps to a successful business. And if you look at any business, theirs or anyone that you want to look at, from well-known to those ones around the corner from where you live, if they're really good businesses, they understand their people, they understand their process, their product, they have passion for what they do, and they know how to get paid. And when you look at that, and here's my outlook for 2021 going into 2022. We are now in a way of increased competition. Businesses are going to compete because now we're opening up slowly. More people get vaccines and so forth. They're going to feel like they're Superman or bulletproof. They're going to do more things. They're going to spend money. They're going to get out there. And now it's a fight for their business, for their dollars. Either a product or service-based business, it doesn't matter. It's coming. And so now it's going to be on the pressure of price. That's what most businesses will play on, is playing on the pressure of price. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see the consumer say, but I want more value for that price. And so now it's a value game. If you go for the race for the bottom,
That's happening.
it's done. It's a commoditized business. You're done.
Yes.
If you're going to be the cheapest out there, you're going to look and feel like you're the cheapest out there, and you're going to be valued like you're the cheapest out there. So that's, if you want to play that game, good luck to you. So now it's about value, which means we have to give more than we ever have in order to get what we always have gotten. It's not going to be the same. So my advice, my recommendation to business owners is add value by knowing your customer. When you add more value than your competition, they're going to just come to you. And that's going to be the race, I think, for the next 12 to 18 months.
I agree.
Gentlemen, taking time out of your afternoon to be with me here today, behind these lights, being candid the way you have, sharing your insight, helping these business owners is part of my mission. And I want to thank you for taking your time out helping these individuals out.
Faisal, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is The Exchange Live. Arif Maherali, Shane Wenzel. If you're looking for their content, go onto their platforms. Shit, they've got some good stuff out there that will always add value to your life. By all means, please join onto their platforms and really get a good handle of what successful business owners look, feel, and act like, and you'll be successful in your own right. Thank you once again for joining us on The Exchange Live. Have a good day.